Good morning, friends and neighbors. It is Thursday morning, and yesterday I had a friend drop in, an old friend from LL Bean. I met him when I first went to work there in fall of 1991 on the telephones down in Lewiston at the Peck Building. They're no longer there in that building, but anyway, there were hundreds of us that worked there taking orders on the telephones almost 24 hours a day. They worked about 18 hours a day probably there in that building. Anyway, I worked for Beans for 8.5 years or so, and David dropped in on me yesterday. He's part of the Historical Society from Poland. His mother is was from Mechanic Falls, but anyway, dropped in to talk about some historical stuff. I'm not part of the Historical Society. I know most of the folks that are, and I appreciate the work they do, but I'm not directly involved. But I have been posting a lot of stuff on one of the Facebook pages that one of the ladies manages, and that's been interesting and fun, and lots of comments and conversations going back and forth. Well, meeting with my friend yesterday, he stopped in because he wanted to communicate something to that particular person that runs that Facebook page, and want to make sure that I helped him get it through, so that's fine. And we got talking about Buckskin Sam, who's back there on my computer right now. That's a scan of a newspaper article that was published in 1973, March of 1973, the Lewiston Evening Journal, which is now the Lewiston Lewiston Sun Journal. There was a Lewiston Daily Sun, Lewiston Evening Journal, morning and evening newspapers. Evening Journal, on Saturdays, they had a special magazine section, they called, and back in March of '73, they ran 3 or 4 weeks in a row. They ran articles on Buckskin Sam. Samuel H. Noble, born in Kennebunk, Maine, died in Mechanic Falls, Maine, and had an amazing life. He was a mix of Indiana Jones and Forrest Gump, 50-50. He was everywhere. He was in England, South America. He was kidnapped by Indians in South America. That's where he got the name Buckskin Sam, because he wore buckskin clothes. He was only 12 years old when the Indians kidnapped him because he was a good hunter. And he lived with them for 6 years. And learned a lot. Anyway, you got to get his book. His book is a free download. Look him up, Buckskin Sam. There's more than one Buckskin Sam. Samuel H. Noble. There are free PDF downloads of his book. One from the Maine State Library. Read his book. It's only 100 pages. A small book. Amazing story. Anyway, he retired to Mechanic Falls. And my maternal grandfather, knew him as a teenager. My grandfather was a teenager when he died. I've covered some of that before. But anyway, so I had the newspaper article, which I had scanned little by little because it's big newspaper on a little 8.5 by 11 scanner. But anyway, I had scanned it, and my friend asked me he said, I had that and I've lost it. I don't know where it is. It's been lost in his history. He said, could you print out a copy of that? So I have. I kind of had to reformat it I didn't have a full copy of the entire series in printable form. So I've done that now. I just printed it out, and I'm going to send it over to him. 7 pages of the pictures that were in the article, but one of Buckskin Sam and other just generic historical type pictures. But anyway, I've got that printed out. So it was fun to see him. He was with LL Bean for 40 years. He's retired now. He retired last year. 40 years. Our son, we'll talk about that later. Have a good day, folks.